So as we begin to look at leadership with our health and wellness, what we want to do is understand some of the principles of leadership so that we can start to inspire those around us. So John Maxwell is a very powerful, very famous leadership author. He's written many books. One of the books is The 5 Levels of Leadership. I encourage you to check out this book because his work is remarkable. And he says there's 5... Oh, look at that. I'm practicing hitting all my buttons. Luckily, I've got the thing memorized. So let's see if I can go back to it. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. And so I got to make sure that I don't hit the buttons before I'm ready to share the slide. By the way, for those of you youngsters in the room, you notice that I just made I had a little accident here hitting the button. And sometimes you might be called up to give a speech on stage and something might go wrong. And I want to let you know, I'm a professional speaker and I just made a mistake on stage. And it is 100% okay if and when you make a mistake on stage to just roll with it. Is that okay? Yeah, don't worry about it. Nothing bad is, like Carrie's not going to, take me out back afterwards and run over me with a car or anything because I hit the little PowerPoint button. Stuff happens. And so get up and do your best in all circumstances. Know that we're all human, we all make little mistakes, and just roll with it and have some fun, okay? So anyway, the 5 levels of leadership. John Maxwell says the first level of leadership is position, that you have a job title. And so this might be, I'm your mom and dad, do as I say. I'm your school teacher, do as I say. I'm your boss at work, do as I say. And so thinking of bosses at work as a simple example, as you get older, for the youngsters, and those of you, of course, who are closer to my age in the room, in your career, you might have worked with people that their leadership style is to tell you, do as I say because I'm the boss, because I've got manager on my title. And that, though legitimate, is the lowest level of leadership. It's the lowest level of leadership. Because if a boss tells you, do as I say because I told you so, or if you're a parent in the room, if you tell your kids, do as I say because I told you so, then they're following you not because they know it's a good idea, but because of authority. And there's a time and place for that, but in our home, this is the way that we live. We believe Braden, our son, should do as we say, but he is allowed to ask us why. So when we ask him to do something, he's absolutely allowed to say, why do I need to do that? And then we give him an answer. Now, to the youngsters, you have to be respectful if you ask why. We will give our son an answer, and he may not like the answer, but we've at least now given him an answer, because we want to teach him how to think. We want to develop him into a young leader. And if we tell him what to do, even if it's good advice, and we separate it from understanding why he should do that good thing, we take away part of his education. Every single time anyone does anything, it's an opportunity to learn. And so even if your kids are off track, even if they're doing something they should stop doing, you have every right to say, stop doing it. But I also recommend that they should be allowed to ask you why, and that you should be excited about that. That you should actually say, hey, this is a chance that I can teach them so that they understand my thinking, so that when I'm not here to tell them don't do that, they understand the thinking behind it. That's the value. In a job situation, when the manager says, do as I say because I'm the manager, then the employees will do that, but as soon as the manager walks away, the employees won't do anything else. They'll just kind of sit there waiting to be told what to do. And if you want to lead people, you don't want to have people that just do what you say. You want them to develop so that they can become leaders as well. So the next stage of leadership is actually the relationships behind your leadership ability. And so I want you to think right now, for those of you, we've all been through school, the youngsters in the room, if you've got a teacher that you really like the teacher, and the teacher asks the class, okay, everyone settle down. If you really like them, you're more likely to settle down. Does that make sense? If you really like the teacher. The adults in the room, if your boss says, please do this, and you really, really like the boss, like you think they're fantastic, you're more likely to do it because you like them. But if you can't stand them, it takes all the energy in the world to follow their direction because there's no relationship. So the next level of leadership is that you formed a bit of a bond. There's a bit of caring. That people aren't just an object to you, you actually care about them. And this is a great quality. This is a great next step up. I remember as a young guy, I was working in the fast food industry. I was 17 years old, and I really liked my manager. And it's amazing that when you like the person who's leading you, you're willing to do a little bit more. If you don't like them, you'll just do the bare minimum. But if you really like them, you're willing to do a little bit more. So that's a good quality to have. The next level of leadership up is performance, that you are producing results. And so this is where you may not necessarily like the person, there's not necessarily a bond, but you really respect and admire them. You really respect and admire them. Maybe they've got results in an area, they're an amazing athlete, an amazing business leader, or they set an example that you can respect their results. Maybe your parents play the piano. You think, my mom is really good at playing the piano, I want to follow that example. And you can hear her practicing the piano every day, and because of her performance, you want to follow that. That's a great place to be. But sometimes it divorces people from the relationship. You may not feel that the person cares about you. So now we get to the fourth level. And the fourth level of leadership that John Maxwell talks about is people development. People development is where you actually help the person grow. So you as a parent, you could tell your kids, eat vegetables because I said so. Or you could say, eat vegetables because we're friends and I care about you. You know, maybe you're friends, maybe you're a teacher, or as a parent, because I love you. Eat vegetables because you love me and I love you. Or you could say, eat your vegetables because I'm a competitive bodybuilder and look at my six-pack, and if you want to get the results I have, then you should do that to get my results. Or you work with them to help them accomplish their goal. And the very best leaders that I've ever interacted with, at home, at work, in the community, are those leaders who help the people around them get better. Now, I want you to think right now in your own life, the leader who personally has been the most influential to you, the leader who's meant the most to you. And I'll bet that after having spent time with them, you became better. You learned from them. Give me a show of hands if you can relate to that. You learned from them. You became a better person because of that. Absolutely. And so people development, for most of us here in the room, is kind of the highest aspirational level. Now, there is a fifth level, and that's called personhood. That is so difficult to reach. It is reserved for people that are iconic throughout history, such as Winston Churchill or Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela, people that have literally changed the world. And you've reached personhood when you could literally pass away and people still follow your example, even though you're gone. People still follow the example you set because of your life. Mother Teresa would be another example. So somebody who is so inspirational, they can inspire people even beyond the grave. That is an amazing level to reach. So something to be aware of. Now, all of these people who are people development and personhood leaders, they share something in common. Different from setting a small goal to get through the week, they actually cast a vision. So leaders cast a vision.